Now, in Jesus' day, a wedding party was a big deal. These parties would go on and on, not just the whole night long, but sometimes for up to a week. Now, an abundance of food and wine was to be expected. But as we heard in the story, Jesus and his mom and the other disciples were hanging out, and in the midst of the festivities, the wine ran out. And Mary notices and realizes that the host will be absolutely mortified. Just absolutely mortified. And she cannot stand by and allow the host to be disgraced by this. So what does she do? She whispers in his ear and says, "Hey, do something about this, Jesus." Now, in the very human side, Jesus is saying, "Oh, come on, Mom. I do not want to do this. I'm enjoying myself at this party. Please stop bothering me." Maybe he didn't use those exact words, but that was pretty much what it was. And so he decides, though, to do something. And he manages to turn the ordinary water into extraordinary wine. Not just mediocre $2 chuck wine, but really, really good wine. And so much so that many people at the party didn't even notice that they had run out of wine. And those of us in the know, those of them at the party paying attention, realized that Jesus was not your everyday wedding guest. An ordinary turned extraordinary moment. On this MLK weekend, we celebrate the ordinary turned extraordinary. A preacher from Georgia helped to mobilize an entire nation of people to bring about change. A woman sitting on a bus in a seat, causing an entire uprising. 9 children in Little Rock just wanting to go to school help lead the way to desegregation. Not one of those examples is absolutely extraordinary in and of itself, but God takes these ordinary moments and helps to create an extraordinary movement. Every single day, all around us, ordinary, everyday people do ordinary, everyday things that lead to extraordinary events and outcomes, helping to bring about God's realm here among us. But think about it. How often do we notice that that's happening all around us? My guess is we actually don't pay much attention most of the time. We miss how these ordinary things become extraordinary in the midst of just day-to-day life. We go to the grocery store, we drive our car to work, we do the things we do, and we miss the extraordinary around us. I want you to take a look at this video that has world-renowned violinist Joshua Bell in it. And he plays for 45 minutes in the DC Metro train station. And the prediction was that thousands of people would enjoy and appreciate his playing. I want you to take a look. If you have someone next to you that is not a reader, be sure to help them as there's some words that go by the screen that don't get spoken. Take a look at the video. Seven people. And the ones who paid the most attention were the children. I read one description of this morning, and it said that those children were quickly tugged along by their parents, and the kids were like, but, look. And the parent was like, no, we gotta go, come on, let's go. Belle played an extraordinarily intricate violin piece for 45 minutes on a violin that was valued at $3.5 million, and almost no one noticed. No one applauded. Instead, they rushed by, barely noticing. I also read that 2 nights before he played in the metro station, he played to a sold-out crowd in Boston where the average seat was $100. What happens when we rush through life as though we have those horse blinders that horses wear? What happens when we rush through our life not paying any attention, only seeing exactly what we're doing and where we're going? We miss it when the ordinary becomes extraordinary. We don't even notice when God is working miracles in our very midst. Now, sometimes we think of miracles as these big sorts of things, giant jugs of water turned into wine, or incurable illness suddenly cured, or some sort of cataclysmic earth environment thing that is suddenly and miraculously against all science fixed. Not those kind of miracles. We miss the everyday miracles. The ones that everyday people are doing in our midst because we're too busy to notice. Now, you might be thinking, if everyday people are doing miracles, I surely am not one of those people. But that's where we're wrong. We, you and me, don't need to do anything extraordinary. The extraordinary part is God's part. Our part is the ordinary things. The ordinary things that God calls us to do. God has given us gifts and opportunities and guides us to do those ordinary things. And God does the extraordinary parts in and through our ordinary actions. Just like he did with Jesus, just like he did with the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the other civil rights leaders. We do the ordinary bits, and God does the extraordinary bits. We don't want to rush through life and miss the extraordinary because we're too busy. We don't want to miss out on the everyday miracles because we've got our blinders on and we're not paying any attention. So I invite us to open our eyes and our ears and our minds and our hearts to be on the lookout. To be on the lookout for God's extraordinary work in the ordinary all around us. Be on the lookout. You never know what beauty and miracles surround you. Amen.